with that.
Something I want to say to you, Jackie. We already have scheduled a very big end of the year Christmas party and New Year's Eve party. It's going to be on December 27th. So how would you like to join us? And we'll make it into also a tribute to Danny night. And we'll invite some of his friends like
that might be nice.
Sebastian to come and pay tribute to your son. And we can celebrate his life on December 27th at our Christmas party. What do you think of that?
You know, I've been really dreading December 27th, as you can probably imagine. That would be a really beautiful tribute, and I really thank you, Howie.
And bring Julie too.
And Julie, of course. And we had the AFSP walk. I wanted to just share quickly.
Sure.
Howie was with us, and we worked very hard on the Danny's Dream Team, we called ourselves. And our 971 teams, our little Long Beach team had, I think, 72 people, and we raised over $10,000, making us the #1 team. I'm not a fundraiser, and a lot of those were $25 donations. And we had a photographer come, and we will share those links with you, but we had interviews of survivors of suicide and teenagers and how they felt 10 months later after the fact. You know, so we got to talk to people, his teachers, you know, people who had processed my son's passing. We were all in white. So I really saw it as a celebration of what I now look at as the 17 years of blessing that I did have with my son Daniel. And, you know, as in any tragic thing, you know, people say, you know, why me? But I say, you know, why not me? You know, anything can happen to anyone, and we have to really, we live with a lot of, you know, fragility that we deny. But I am very proud of that, and you know, going forward, and it was, you know, speaking about it, I'm hoping, you know, that we had a vigil the day that I think after Brendan passed, you know, and Howie and I discussed it, and even if the pediatrician in town came, a lot of people came I didn't know. We had a state senator,
Yep.
We had clergy, and instead of pushing it under the rug, you know, as a mother of a child who felt very stigmatized, and I have to even share that sometimes I will still say to myself as a professional, and I know my ex-husband, who's a psychologist, is very aggrieved, you know, how come, you know, I'm a psychologist and I couldn't save my own son? He cannot get over it. And, you know, I say, like, Richard, you know, there's some things, you know, and I have to be honest, we all will do anything for our families, our children, especially teenage, you know, but so if I am somebody who's willing to talk about this with an education, and I still feel sort of like, could I have done better, or what did I do wrong? And sometimes I do, you know, people say, how did your son pass?
No, you know what? I can tell, you were the most amazing, loving mother. You gave him love, you gave him support, you got him the best treatment, you were there for him. You were a wonderful, wonderful mother, so please, never blame yourself. You did everything in your power. He had the best support. He had a support system. He had a beautiful girlfriend. He had a beautiful family. He was smart. He had a 99 average, but the depression was just so severe. No reflection on you, but please, you were just a wonderful, wonderful mother, and never blame yourself, because his life probably lasted longer because of you. So always keep that in mind, that you were the best mother, a loving mother that did everything for him, was there for him. So please, Jackie, you were the best. And he didn't lose his life because of you. His life lasted longer because of you.
Yeah. Thank you, Howie. And as I said, you know, I share that because I know there are people who feel even worse. And so I really am trying to model, being out there with the whole mixture, the whole mixed bag, the painful bag, so that other folks, moms and dads, could see that, this is what it is. But we have to, really keep our eyes on our kids and, the teenagers. So it's been a real process, and I've come to feel, he's with me through other students, other, experiences. Like all types of people seem to be popping up for me. In terms of opportunities, I will be working with AFSP in Nassau County as a volunteer in the beginning, and we're still working on our foundation and our all of the particulars, but kids have been calling me who feel I've been getting like little network calls, kids who know me, who knew Daniel, my mom or dad don't aren't listening to me, what do you think I should do? And then I know that there are so many resources, that I can sort of help direct them to. I spoke last week for the Lions Club, and we talked about the elderly, and they're on also a very big group. I think they're maybe the highest of level of suicide, but the teen suicide in particular, I think. And the elderly, the military people have the 22 push-up thing going on, and several of my friends have done that. But for some reason, if it's not attractive, kids, teenagers can be cantankerous, can be angry, and parents might not know that that's a symptom of depression, or they may be, withdrawn and quiet, and the parents might say, wow, well, they're quiet, though, good for me, I can read my book for another hour. These are signs and symptoms, you have to kind of watch, for your children these days, really closely. And I know both for my pediatrician and my psychotherapist, Daniel was the first in their practice to pass in this way. And, they were devastated, and yet, we all are a community, and we all still have hope, and I want to continue, and what I want to say is that if I were to let my son's death destroy me, or if I can't lose my sense of integrity or my sense of hope or help, helping, because my son Daniel wouldn't have wanted that for me. I know he wants me now to be happy and to have a happy life. I almost think that he worried, had he lived, his father and I might not have had a happy life. And that's very risky for me to say that, but I think he'd worried on some level that he might have gotten more sick in the future, and that he might have progressed into being, lifelong dependent on us. And that's a fear that he, I think, might have had. God forbid, I would, my husband's shaking his head back there, we would have gladly, whatever he wanted, I would have built the house in the Hamptons for him. That's not the case. But I'm sharing these types of thoughts that a young person might have. And, we really don't know what flipped his switch, but he was really happy, and it was Christmas, so it's very tricky, and I am trying, as a mom and as a citizen, to be civilized and to really honor my son by, trying to be an example of somebody who's definitely not perfect. I had a head injury. I can be verbose. My husband usually taps me when I do that. That's our but I want to kind of try to be out there and say, families, this happens, and it's preventable, and we need more research, and yet if it happens, there's support, and you can still live a life, and you can still have a future. And I owe it to my older son, to give him a happy future, a mother with hope. And that's really what I've been trying to do. And as I said, people have been reaching out to me, and luckily I know a lot of places. There's just a lot more out there that we don't really talk about. But there are a lot of good programs and help. It's just accessing them and having people believe that you really need them, and not just push you away because you're just being a cranky teenager, or you're just playing on the PlayStation. We don't really know what kids are doing behind the closed doors if we don't go in and check on them. Are they cutting themselves in places we don't see? Are they burning themselves? There's a lot of things that kids are doing right now. I actually heard of another young lady, and there's this thing that's going around now called the choking game. And she was also 13, and she died by using a scarf on a banister. And now this is a game, somewhat akin to the autoerotic asphyxiation.
Oh.
Apparently, kids are getting themselves they're getting a high off of this, and unfortunately, this child's, they lack the common sense to realize that you will or can die from that. We know about Keith Carradine. Was that the one who killed himself by autoerotic asphyxiation? But that was not a suicide attempt. But it's still, a way, it's a misguided attempt for pleasure, and we as adults and mental health professionals need to know kids are actually doing this. So So anyway, that's me for now.
Absolutely.